What if I told you that while Donald Trump was busy lifting sanctions on Russian oil, shaking hands with Kremlin allies, and rolling out the red carpet for Putin's inner circle, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy was flying halfway across the world and closing billion-dollar deals that are reshaping the entire global security order? This isn't a war story. This is a chess story. And right now, Zelenskyy is 10 moves ahead. Welcome back. If you're new here, stick around, because what I'm about to show you is one of the most extraordinary geopolitical pivots of the 21st century, and almost no one is covering it the way it deserves to be covered. Today, we are breaking down 5 explosive developments happening right now that prove Ukraine, not Russia, not even the United States, may actually be the most strategically dangerous player on the global stage right now. Let's go. To understand why Zelenskyy's Middle East tour is so significant, you first have to understand what Trump destroyed. For decades, the United States operated as the security umbrella of the Middle East. American THAAD missile systems in Saudi Arabia, Patriot batteries in Qatar, UAE, Kuwait, American troops stationed across Jordan and Bahrain. The message was simple: you're with us, we protect you. That promise? Donald Trump shredded it. Under the Trump administration's current policies, sanctions on Russian oil were lifted. Russian tankers were given access to Cuban ports. Russian Duma leaders, that's the Russian parliament, were invited to the United States Capitol and met with the State Department. Let that sink in. The people who fund Putin's war machine were given VIP treatment in Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, Iran, emboldened by what it sees as American weakness, has been launching Shahed drone swarms and ballistic missile attacks at the very nations hosting American military bases: Qatar, UAE, Jordan, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. Nations that thought they had American protection. The interceptors, the Patriot missiles. At $3 million a shot, these nations have been burning through their stockpiles trying to stop cheap $20,000 Iranian Shahed drones. It's an economic bloodbath. A single Shahed drone costs Iran pocket change. A single Patriot interceptor costs more than most people will earn in a lifetime. And that is the exact crisis that Zelenskyy flew directly into, not as someone asking for help, but as someone with answers. Let me tell you exactly what happened during Zelenskyy's visit to the Gulf region over the past week and a half, because this is extraordinary. He met with leaders of the UAE, Qatar, Jordan, and Kuwait. And he didn't walk in asking for money or weapons. He walked in as an expert, a war-tested, battle-hardened expert in the most advanced drone warfare technology on the planet. Think about this. Ukraine has been fighting against Iranian Shahed drones since 2022. Every single night, Russian forces launch waves of these drones at Ukrainian cities, Ukrainian power grids, Ukrainian hospitals, and Ukraine, without the luxury of $3 million Patriot interceptors for every attack, has developed the most sophisticated, cost-effective drone defense system in the world. Interceptor drones, electronic jamming networks, anti-drone netting, AI-assisted radar targeting, swarm counter-swarm tactics. Ukraine didn't just survive Iran's drone technology, they mastered it, and now the very nations being targeted by Iran's drone arsenal wanted to learn everything Ukraine knew. Here's what Zelenskyy himself wrote, and I want to read this slowly because every word matters. It has been a very fruitful visit to the Middle East and the Gulf region. We already have landmark agreements with Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. We are also working with Jordan and Kuwait. There are already additional requests from Bahrain and Oman. For Ukraine, this is not only a matter of prestige and respect for our people, it is a very practical matter. We are exporting our system of protection, the skills of our warriors, the knowledge that our state possesses, and from these partner countries, we expect reciprocal security engagement. Did you catch that last part? Reciprocal security engagement. He's not asking for charity. He's building alliances, strategic, sustainable, 10-year partnerships, defense technology transfers, joint production agreements, energy deals, diesel, critical supplies. This is what a statesman does. While Trump is playing checkers, lifting sanctions, hosting Russian senators, tweeting threats, Zelenskyy is playing three-dimensional chess across 3 continents simultaneously. Now here's where this story gets absolutely explosive. And I mean that literally. Remember how Trump lifted sanctions on Russian oil? The theory being Russia can sell more oil, make more money, and theoretically become more interested in peace? That was the plan. Here's what actually happened instead. Ukraine said, not on our watch. In just the past few weeks, Ukrainian long-range drones and missiles have systematically targeted every major Russian oil export facility on the Baltic Sea. Let me walk you through this because the scale is staggering. Primorsk, Russia's single largest crude oil export terminal, hit on fire, 900 kilometers north of Ukraine's border, barely 50 kilometers from Finland. Satellite images show massive fires still spreading across the oil export installations as Ukrainian forces launched follow-up strikes. Ust-Luga, the second major Baltic oil terminal, hit, confirmed fires from multiple video sources. Novorossiysk and the Druzhba pipeline regularly struck, currently unusable. The numbers? Analysts estimate 40 to 50% of Russia's oil export capacity has been temporarily disrupted, right as global oil prices were climbing because of the Iran conflict, right as Russia needed that revenue most, right as Trump gave Russia the green light to sell freely. Zelenskyy essentially looked at Trump's sanctions relief for Russia and said, cool, watch this. And then Trump did something extraordinary. He sent signals to Ukraine asking them to stop targeting Russian oil infrastructure. Think about what that means. Trump lifts sanctions on Russia, Russia gets to sell oil freely, and then Trump asks Ukraine to stop blowing up the oil facilities. Zelenskyy's response was diplomatic but unmistakable. He posted publicly, and again, I want to read his exact words because they are loaded. We are not just carrying out strikes on Russia. We are responding. We received signals from some partners requesting that we reduce our responses targeting Russia's oil and energy sector. I emphasize once again, if Russia is ready not to strike Ukraine's energy infrastructure, we will not retaliate to theirs. Some partners. He won't name Trump directly. He's being diplomatic. But who else could he possibly mean? And the message is crystal clear. You stop bombing our power plants. We stop bombing your oil depots. Simple. Fair. Putin doesn't want that deal because Putin wants to keep destroying Ukrainian civilian infrastructure. So ask yourself, who is actually blocking peace here? Let me address something head on because I know what Trump supporters are going to say. They're going to say, Zelenskyy won't negotiate. Ukraine won't accept peace. They want the war to continue. Let's put that to rest right now with Zelenskyy's own words. Here is what Zelenskyy posted publicly, not behind closed doors, not in a private message to Trump, publicly for the entire world to see. We are open to discussing any type of ceasefire, a full ceasefire, an energy ceasefire, a food security ceasefire. We have already proposed all of this and we are still open. If the Russians are ready, let them suggest any time frame. We are ready to resolve this issue. Full ceasefire, energy ceasefire, food ceasefire, any framework, any timeline. Ukraine says yes. Russia says nothing because Russia doesn't want a ceasefire. Russia wants all of Ukraine, the eastern regions they've been fighting over for 3 years. That's just phase one. Putin's stated goal to Russian state media, to his own generals, is to eventually restore Russian dominance over all Ukrainian territory. Let's look at what Russia is actually doing militarily right now. Russian forces are losing, according to Western military analysts, between 30,000 and 50,000 soldiers every single month. Not casualties, losses. That number is staggering. Russia promised they would take Ukraine in 3 days. It's been 3 years. Ukraine still stands. Ukraine is counterattacking. Ukraine is striking targets deep inside Russian territory. If Russia is winning, why are they losing a city's worth of soldiers every single month? Why are they begging Trump to protect their oil revenue? Why won't they agree to a simple ceasefire? The answer is they are not winning. And Zelenskyy knows it. The Middle East deals are just one part of Zelenskyy's strategic offensive. Simultaneously, he's been working to transform Ukraine into the backbone of European security. He spoke directly with Finland's President Alexander Stubb, a NATO member sitting right next to Russia, to coordinate a continent-wide defense architecture. Zelenskyy's message to European leaders is simple and incredibly powerful. Ukraine is Europe. We know more about fighting this enemy than any other nation on the continent. Let us share what we know. Let us build this together. He wrote, "It is important that all of us in Europe coordinate in a substantive way. Security comes first and right now. When the world is so destabilized, not a single day can be wasted. Not a single day can be wasted. Let that echo. Think about what Ukraine is offering Europe right now. Battle-tested drone warfare doctrine, real combat experience against Russian systems, intelligence on every Russian military tactic, thousands of soldiers who have been fighting the most technologically advanced war in human history and surviving. Ukraine isn't just a victim asking for help anymore. Ukraine has become the most valuable security partner in the Northern Hemisphere. Now, contrast that with what Trump is doing in Europe. He is actively supporting Germany's AfD party, and not just morally. Reports indicate the Trump administration spent potentially hundreds of millions of dollars promoting AfD through various channels. Who is AfD? They are the most pro-Putin political party in any major Western democracy. Their stated goals include withdrawing American troops from Germany, destroying the European Union, and ending support for Ukraine. In other words, everything Putin wants. But here's the delicious irony. The AfD, the very party Trump is backing, just came out demanding the United States withdraw its 40,000 troops from Germany. Trump is funding the party that wants to kick American soldiers out of Europe. As one analyst put it brilliantly, while Trump spends millions promoting AfD, in the end, they will do Putin's bidding, not Trump's. Trump thought he could use AfD as a tool to destroy the EU. AfD is using Trump as a tool to build Putin's Europe. And somewhere in Moscow, Vladimir Putin is laughing at both of them. So let's zoom all the way out and ask the question that matters. We have a Ukrainian president who, despite being actively undermined by the United States, is simultaneously, 1, closing landmark defense deals across the Middle East worth billions of dollars. 2, destroying Russia's oil export economy to prevent Putin from funding the war. 3, building a new European security architecture with NATO allies. 4, offering a full ceasefire publicly and repeatedly while Russia refuses. 5, sharing drone warfare expertise that is now the gold standard for modern conflict. And on the other side, we have a U.S. administration that lifted sanctions on Russian oil, hosted Russian Duma leaders, pressured Ukraine to stop striking Russian energy, promoted Russia's favorite political party in Germany, and whose family members are still asking where all the Ukraine aid went, while ignoring the answer sitting in front of them. It went to drones. It went to weapons. It went to 3 years of Ukraine refusing to fall. Zelenskyy called Trump's behavior, and I love this quote, a bit strange. That is the most diplomatically loaded understatement in modern history. It is strange to remove sanctions from the country invading your ally. It is strange to host the legislators who fund that invasion. It is strange to ask the victim to stop defending itself. But whatever Trump's intentions are, this much is clear. Zelenskyy is not waiting for America to figure it out. He is building the alliances, making the deals, striking the targets, and defending the territory himself. History will have a verdict on all of this. And right now, the man flying economy-class chess, moves across 3 continents, is beating everyone. If this video gave you something to think about, share it. Send it to someone who needs context beyond the headlines. Drop a comment below, and if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button. We do this every single day. Real analysis, real stakes. I'll see you in the next one.